in just a matter of hours, crews will resume searching for 11-year-old Audrii Cunningham.
Today marks 6 days since she was reported missing in the Livingston area. Authorities have identified the scenic loop 3277.
Yeah, Stephen, Kimberly, that's correct. Authorities tell us that the person of interest, Don Steven Mcdougal, knew Audrii Cunningham and her family very well. In fact, he lived directly behind their trailer home. Now, just a couple of minutes ago, authorities actually just came here to block off this road.
I sadly announce that Audrii's body was located at the Trinity River on the U.S. Highway 59. As a result of today's developments, I will discontinue the Amber Alert for Audrii, and I want to thank DPS, Department of Public Safety, for all their help in this alert.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys can hear me all right, please put a 1 in the chat. Let me just make sure my settings are good. That was just a little piece I did for Audrii. I wish I could have done more. Rest in peace. I see we got Tony from EquiSearch in here. Shout out to you. Hope you're doing well. And your team does an amazing job. And it did such an amazing job searching for Audrii. Just a huge shout out to everybody involved in the search for Audrii, which came to a sad conclusion yesterday, if you have not been updated. And today there has been some more documents, or a document released thanks to Annalise from 10 to Life. Shout out to her. Her team was able to reach out to the courts and snag the kind of a PCA. There's not a lot to it, but it does give a few details that we hadn't heard before that we'll definitely go over as well. All right, perfect. But if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Chris with Monsters Under a Bed. We cover true crime, missing, true crime, murder to missing. Sorry. But unfortunately, even though they found Audrii, the missing continues, and there was another case that just took place yesterday. Involves a 3-year-old boy, Elijah Vu, missing out of Two Rivers, Wisconsin. Amber Alert was issued for Elijah yesterday. He was last seen by his adult caregiver at 8 a.m. Tuesday at his home at 3900 block Mishicot Road near Forest View Cemetery and the Holy Cross Cemetery. I just saw this before I went live. I always like to feature missing before we go into the main story. And so I just wanted to feature him. It looks like they're in day 2, which is today. I'm just seeing if there's any other notes. Elijah is described as sandy brown hair and brown eyes. He's about 3 foot tall, 45 pounds. He has a birthmark on his left knee. And I thought I'd seen a thing where it showed where he was missing at. That's what I wanted to show. Maybe it was on this one. Nope, it was not this one. I was going to show an area. Maybe... Oh, here it is. I think it might be this one. Yes, here it is. This is what I wanted to show. So anybody that's in Wisconsin, I guess this is kind of the area. Two Rivers. So if you're in that area, definitely be on the lookout for poor Elijah, 3 years old, day 2 of missing. So, All right, so we'll move on to today's show. Let me get my folder out. Again, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch the show. Again, hit that like button. We always try to feature missing people at the beginning of the show. We usually attach, some of these smaller cases to the, more talked about bigger cases, and that's in my opinion, the best way I can on this platform to give a handout to the people that. When it comes to families of missing, I get a lot of emails for them wanting me to do a whole video on them. And as much as I'd like to, I try to tell them that sadly a lot of times that they're not going to do well because unfortunately it's just kind of how the algorithm goes. And the best thing to do is attach like something new like Elijah to a bigger case that's being talked about, like the Audrii Cunningham case. And so that's how I do it on this platform. I think it works. And we do take requests. You can always email me if you have any family member or friend that went missing currently or a while ago. I'd be more than happy to feature them in an upcoming show. All right, let's get going here. Now we got a little over 300 in here. So we'll recap a little bit before we get into the document that was released today. I'm just going to minimize that. Just for anybody that may have missed anything or new to this case, so this is Audrii Cunningham. Her Amber Alert went out on February 15th, 6 days ago now. Work with me. Anyway, so here's her mother, and we've learned a little bit more since the first few days because it was kind of unclear, but from what I heard, I don't think the mother had custody. So her mother, Cassie Matthews, was not in the picture. She did not have custody. I don't think she ever had custody of her daughter. I read a statement that I believe she gave up because she wanted her daughter to have a better life. So the father, Joshua Cunningham, Audrii's father, had custody of her. She was living in Polk County, Texas. They lived in near Livingston Lake with Audrii's grandmother and then a roommate, which is going to be the main focus, Don Steven Mcdougal. I pulled up the wrong one. I'm sorry, guys. Something was missing
in just a matter
there.
of hours.
Announced that today's development.
All right. Sorry, I got to get a little organized here. I had 2 videos made. But same thing. So the day before she went missing, it appears February 14th, that Steven, who lived in a trailer behind in the family's property, he had contacted Cassie, who apparently hasn't seen her daughter in years, and brought up the conversation that Audrii wanted to see her mother. And you can see in the text messages here, and we'll look at them. We're not going to go through all of them, but just a couple of them. But it's kind of interesting now that everything's unfolded. Looking back, and I know Tom had mentioned this when he first sent me these. It seems that he had sent her a video chat. So there's at the beginning of these messages, he video chatted her, and it was like 42 seconds long. And then from that message, it goes, "What's up? I'm super effed livid. That's because I don't understand." And then he replies, "Why are you livid?" And then the third message, "Your baby has been asking about you." So clearly he set up this thing that, Audrii's missing her mother and she wants to see her mother. So after they exchange messages, Steven says that her baby had been asking about her mother, Cassie. And Cassie even says that this came across wrong and weird. And I know, like I said, we've many channels have gone over these, but now looking at everything, it is interesting that she did have a weird feeling, and she says that this all just comes across wrong and weird, and on Valentine's Day, which is the day before she went missing. So she was clearly suspicious that something wrong was going to happen. Oh, yeah, he was. And I know it's been talked about the whole setup, but and here it starts out with the video chat of 42 seconds, because there was an interview with the mother, and I haven't seen it. I've heard about it. I cannot find it. I know she did like a local news channel one, and then apparently there was another interview with a little bit more information. And she claims, at least what I've read from the statement, so this is coming from third hand, is that all of a sudden he just contacted her out of the blue, and she was like, what the F, why, this is so weird. And it explains itself in these messages. She's clearly like, suspicious of something weird here. He's contacting her, saying that, her daughter's asking about her. And then I know people have probably broken this down a million times, and here's just further down in the messages, one of the statements, now it's really just kills me to see this, is he says, "I'm your daughter's favorite person, and she will not tell." And that's coming from the suspect on Steven Mcdougal. And now reading that after what's transpired, it's terrible. Then he suggests a meetup. She mentions a park nearby her home. That is awfully loud. If you guys could hear that. That's why I've been distracted. There's some people working on a car just outside my window, and it's distracting me. I apologize. But yeah, he suggested a meetup. She had mentioned a park nearby where this was going to be without the family's knowledge. I'm assuming without the father and grandmother knowing. This was going to be a secret meeting where after school he would take Audrey, and then she could go see her mother. So after some exchanges back and forth, they kind of talk about meeting up on February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. And apparently, here you can see in the messages in the late evening, Cassie sends a message saying that she prays that this is no setup and hopes to hear from them tomorrow. Literally says it. She prays that this is no setup and hopes to hear from them tomorrow. And then that next day, 6:30, she says, "Good morning." He replies. And then Steven, at that time, around 6:30, would have been dropping Audrey off around in that area. Let me clear that. Yeah, they are. I know, like that. Yeah. Anyway, apologies. So here's a zoomed in on just kind of the final messages here. But here's where she says, early that February 13th, "I do love her, and I pray that this is no setup for more bad things to come." And it's like mother instincts. She knew. It's terrible. Yeah, if you're coming in, I am going to go over the PC affidavit. I thought I'd just go over just kind of the timeline for anybody that may have missed out on certain details or may not have heard this about this case. Then we go to February 15th. Audrey is last seen sometime before 6:30. We don't know who saw her last. I'm assuming a family member, father, or grandmother. Steven claimed that he dropped her off. Apparently, he dropped her off on... usually, that's what he would do, is he would drop her off at the school bus stop. Law enforcement in the press conference claimed that her abduction was around 6:45 a.m. Right after this, it's unclear what exactly happens next, other than law enforcement claims that they're interested in the time frame between 6:30 and 8 a.m. So we have this one hour and a half time frame, which seems like sadly whatever transpired took place in that time frame. And this is approximately where she was last seen.
And caller states her 11-year-old granddaughter was dropped off at the bus.
This is the 911 call that came out, and it's very interesting if you hear what is said at the very end. It's just 1 minute. If you haven't heard it, it's kind of interesting.
Her 11-year-old granddaughter was dropped off at the bus at about 7 a.m. this morning and never made it on the bus and has not been seen since. 826. Female is about approximately 4'11", 86 pounds, blonde long hair, blue eyes, last seen wearing a dark colored jacket.
Right.
Good. Public service you, her address and his phone number. What time is this call? 1700.
A missing juvenile called in from the county. They want us to check that address and see if she's there. It's supposed to be the mom's address. Mom does not have custody of her. Has never had custody.
So right here, it sounds like they had been fed information that the mother could be suspicious.
Address. Mom does not have custody of her. Has never had custody of her. And has made threats recently to kidnap her.
Had made threats recently to kidnap her. So they're not communicating this to the other team members. Clearly this was stated to them in the original 911 call. So that is very interesting.
Text me the mom's information so I can just like that. Can I get around to?
So clearly, Steven had formed some kind of plan to do something that day, and was going to try to throw the mother under the bus. Then we move into Friday, February 16th, and his video of him just before they would arrest him. I didn't even realize it, but actually he's standing right in front of his Chevy Suburban. Some people were mistaken whether they were actually looking for the vehicle. They were just looking if anyone had seen that vehicle on February 15th. But yeah, so they would arrest him the next day on unrelated charges. Those charges were some kind of assault with the weapon, and so they arrested him on February 16th. Okay, that's what I was waiting for. And these were the areas that they had mentioned that they were concerned for. So it appears that Steven had cooperated at one point, they mentioned, and had gotten some kind of information out of him. They were interested in these areas here. This is where she was last seen. We've got multiple roads here, 3126, 2457, and 3278. And if you notice, this one leads to the Trinity River, which is near the mouth of the dam of Lake Livingston.
That other man would drive Audrii to the bus stop each morning before school. No one at the family's home would speak with us tonight. Meanwhile, Cassie Matthews says she's devastated.
You feel it's a roller coaster. You're broken. You're mad. You're lost. You're empty. And right now, I am empty. And I'm not gonna be the same unless my baby is returned to me. And neither is her family, anyone in her family, any of us.
So, as you notice, they say none of the family members would do an interview, but the mother clearly is the only one doing an interview, and she's heartbroken. That's just a small clip of it, but she is just broken up. So you could tell she has nothing to do with it. I know there's some early speculation. Now we know the answers, but clearly she had no involvement, and she was clearly he tried to set her up, but it was a stupid plan, and just what a waste. Three-ball lady, didn't they find a backpack with a note that said "send help"? I had seen that. Actually, when I was pulling up some research earlier today, I actually came across that. I don't think that was that could have been made up. That could have been something else. Stuff like that does happen, and it could have been fake. Who knows? But I don't think that was involved in this case. Tom, good to see you, buddy. Didn't get notified. Hope everyone was okay. Prayers for this little girl. So sad she had to live in a world with no protection from all this evil. Yeah. And the rap sheet that this guy has, it's just unbelievable that they allowed this man anywhere near her. So then, that's, I believe, February 16th is when they found the backpack as well. And that was found kind of near the mouth, near the dam and Trinity River. They found her red Hello Kitty backpack along with some other evidence. They did not clarify.
Okay, getting into some news here at 7 o'clock. Our top story at this hour is out of Polk County, where the search for 11-year-old Audrii Cunningham now heads into the fifth day.
it was a thigh.
Crime Stoppers has raised the reward to $10,000, and investigators are using every tool they have to find out what happened to her.
One of the few clues in her disappearance might be a red Hello Kitty backpack she was supposed to carry to school with her last week. The sheriff believes a family friend who lives on the same property as Audrii in Livingston may have been the last to see her. Fox 26's Shelby Rose is live alongside the Trinity River, where law enforcement is already out this morning. Shelby.
Yes, good morning. We have already seen a boat, Texas EquiSearch, go down this road, which leads to the Trinity River. They were doing the same thing yesterday, using sonar technology to see what they could see down in the river. But there are also boots on the ground. Authorities are honing in on specific locations in Polk County, but would not disclose to us what those exactly are, saying that they do want to keep the integrity of this ongoing investigation. Now, we also know that child's backpack that you spoke about is strongly believed to be Audrii's. It was found over the weekend, which they are considering a key piece of evidence. And this person of interest, Don Mcdougal, is also cooperating to some extent with investigators, telling them he left the house with Audrii on the day she went missing. Officials say Mcdougal was a friend of Audrii's father and was allowed to live in a trailer behind their house and also take her to school from time to time. Mcdougal is in custody at the Polk County Jail, but on an unrelated assault charge. Texas DPS says he confessed to assaulting a man following an argument. And while he does admit to being with Audrii the morning of her disappearance, the Polk County Sheriff says charges haven't been filed because they don't want to jump to conclusions.
We want to make sure that we take all the evidence that we have collected. Yes, he may have been the last person with her, and yes, she is missing at this time. But we want to make for sure that whatever evidence that we collect and that we place on an affidavit today is going to be something that's going to hold up in the court later. It does us no good to prematurely charge him now, and then 3-4 months from now it get tossed out of court because we were moving too fast.
So I was just playing a small clip, just kind of going chronological order of what happened here. So if you're just tuning in, I think you guys got almost we have just over 500 people in here. Thank you so much. If you can, hit that like button. We're going to get to the documents that are released if you haven't heard about them. But I just wanted to kind of recap everything. I think this is very important. These are kind of the three main areas that we saw that they were kind of focused on. The one that you just saw footage of is where the Trinity River and the mouth of the dam was. Following that day, they did go west to Browder's Marina, which was interesting. And then finally, the last 2 days, they were down south further down the Trinity River towards US 59, the highway. So sadly, 5 days after Audrii was reported missing, her body was found approximately 7 miles from where she was last seen in the Trinity River, close to US 59. Of course, that was yesterday. It's a very sad day. She was found, it appears, this picture we're going to see here is just after they had found her. It seems like somewhere on this side here. there was a question whether she was tied down with something.
At this time, I sadly announce that Audrii's body,
which we are going to learn that is she was tied down with a rock, and we'll look at the document here in just a minute. But there were some interesting questions that they brought up here. This is just like 4 or 5 minutes from the press conference yesterday. There was some interesting details that were asked and answered, and I just wanted to play those real quick here.
At the Trinity River on the U.S. Highway 59.
Thank you, Byron. My name is Shelley Sitton, and I am your Polk County District.
Oh, I meant to get to that. Has anyone seen interviews with the dad? No, I don't think so. We saw one other interview with another guy, and I'm not sure who he was. He was related to the family somehow, but I can't remember who it was.
Attorney, I just want to take a few moments to explain how we're going to move forward from here. Based on all of the evidence that law enforcement has collected, they are in the process of preparing the appropriate arrest warrants for Don Steven Mcdougal. At this time, we believe the appropriate arrest warrant is going to be for capital murder in the death of Audrii Cunningham. He is currently still in jail under an unrelated felony charge here. I understand that this is a very difficult time for Audrii's family and for our community. The substantial law enforcement resources that were marshaled by the Sheriff Lyons, I think should show you that this county and law enforcement, they will come out when they need to protect our children. And the assets that we have been made available to Polk County to protect our children have been substantial. And at this point...
Look at that. That was the first time seeing that. Those are just some of his mug shots. And I did forget to mention his rap sheet. I did have some of it. I know I have the rest somewhere on another notepad. But... yeah, apparently, we talked about it before, but, of course, the big one that a lot of people mention is his enticing of a child in, I think, 2008, I believe, or something like that, which everybody was really stunned by and couldn't believe that, I guess, just that, that particular assault, or, excuse me, that... charge, I guess, doesn't mean you have to be register as an SO. Then he also did 4 years in prison in 2 years in prison in 2020, and then 4 years in county back in 2010. So he's done quite a significant amount of time before this incident.
As Sheriff Lyons said, he'll continue to collect the evidence and process that. The district attorney's office is going to stand right beside them and follow through, and we promise that you can assure that the district attorney's office will be just as dedicated to this case as every one of these law enforcement officers that are standing behind you to do what is right for Audrii and bring justice to our community. Thank you. At this time, if you've got some questions, we'll open it up to a few questions.
Any indication of how Audrii was killed?
Determining
Okay, so like I said, here's just a couple of clips. I think there's like 3 or 4, questions and answers from yesterday's press conference that I thought were very interesting. Now knowing a little bit more information today.
Cause and method of her death.
But evidence suggests murder.
We believe that there is enough evidence, yes.
Yes.
Did Don Steven Mcdougal lead you to that location on the river where you found her body? Did he tell you where to find her?
That was evidence that we was collecting through the cell phone analysis, as well as through our videos that we were able to collect, and some of the information that we received from him, we were able to pinpoint and set. There were several points of interest that was turned over to us, so that we were able to develop. And thank goodness, and by the grace of God, one of those places of interest we were able to locate.
As I understand,
Interest that was turned over to us, so that we were able to develop, and thank goodness and by the grace of God, one of those places of interest we were able to locate.
And it's mentioned in these documents, which we're going to get to in about 10 minutes here or less. They mention, I think it mentions 3 places, and 2 out of those 3, they found evidence and or Audrey's body, which is kind of interesting.
I understand it.
What evidence links Mcdougal to the murder?
Evidence, and right now, folks, when we start talking about how we're linking evidence to Mcdougal and linking evidence to this case, we want to be very careful on how we do that.
Sheriff, what directed you to that portion of I-59 in the Trinity River? What directed you to that area of I-59 in the Trinity River?
So I don't know if you heard, she asked, what directed you to the US 59 and Trinity River, right where she was found?
That area is one of the first areas of our concern points of interest when we started our search on Friday, midday Friday, and again, that's going to be developed from some of the evidence, and then yes, there was some points where he did give information, because there were several places that he said that he had went. So it wasn't a location where he said he took her, but there was a incident where he said these were locations where he had gone.
And so, like I said, and we'll learn here in a bit, there's 3 that they did. Do we know if the family were aware of his prior convictions? I don't know. You would think so, and you would think the heavy tattoos would, I mean, the guy's just completely tatted up. Not saying that if you've got tats, it means you're in prison, but, I would think they'd had to have had an idea.
On this evidence that you talk about, would you have been able to find her where you found her without the evidence that you just described?
Yes.
You would have found her there?
We would have found her not through him, but we would have found it through the evidence that we collected from the analysis from phones and videos would have, yes.
Was she visible to the naked eye?
So he asked her, was she visible to the naked eye? So assuming, obviously, we're going to learn here in just a bit, she was weighted down by a rock. We're going to get to in a second.
You used a sonar.
At this time.
One more question. One more question. Is there any evidence that
location, Mcdougal told you guys that was one of the locations where he had gone?
He did advise that was one of the locations that he had gone. Not that he was saying that she was there or any other location, but we know that he went there as well.
Showing Sheriff of this crime, will you be seeking the death penalty?
How many people thought were, or at least...
So we're, excuse me. So we, gosh, clear my throat. We almost have just about 700 people in here. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your day to watch the show. If you're just coming in, we're just recapping everything. We're about to jump into the documents here. I think I got about 2 minutes left of this video, and then we're going to pull up the documents and go over them. There's not a lot, but there are a few little interesting details. Naomi, thank you so much. Why was this devil allowed to live near her? I think that's going to be a question that I don't know if we'll ever get an answer to. I don't get it. The dad should be held responsible, in my opinion. Don't leave your kids to one period. Yeah. Yeah, what I think that's everybody's question, is how did this situation should have never happened in the first place. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't know if we'll ever get an actual answer from the family, certainly the father, the grandmother. And yeah, we don't know how long he was living there. I mean, but maybe some of that information will come out later on.
Last thing we knew, she was going to be walking to school to hopefully get on the bus. But our Abigail Dye earlier in the week spoke to a neighbor who said every single day she sees Audrey walking to that bus stop. And that day, Thursday morning, she did not see Audrey. And that's some of the concern. This video here, for example, we also uncovered on Friday. That is Mcdougal right there speaking to law enforcement shortly before he was taken into custody on that unrelated charge. But again, cell phone analysis, videos from the public.
And that's just a collage of his mug shots throughout the years, decades. And again, he had a rap sheet. It's been mentioned many times, but 2 years in prison and 4 years in county before that. So he's spent a lot of time behind bars.
Also contributed to them putting together some locations, not to mention Don himself. I don't want to say he was totally cooperating with law enforcement, but I can certainly say that he gave them certain points of interest. And
of course, he's got the, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it on YouTube, but you can see that if you can. Swatched. I think I can say swastika. I don't know if I can say the other word, but anyway. But yeah, I mean, he's clearly tatted up.
Again, contributed to them being able to find this little girl here today. One last thing here I want to mention. The Trinity River Authority, the sheriff mentioned that they were able to work with them to reduce the flow of the water in the river. And once that water was lower, they were able to locate Audrii Cunningham, 11-year-old body. Sad news here, but we're going to continue to follow this here. We just wanted to break in, bring you guys up to speed. We'll have more on this here coming up on your newscast.
So here is the documents. I'm just going to take a sip. If you haven't heard them, we'll go over them real quick here. Just get caught up. He's a walking billboard. Yeah. What were his crimes? Gosh, and I have them all written down. Well, not all, but one of the main ones a lot of people were really, and they have the right to, was offended with. It was him, 2008, enticing a child, resisting arrest, assault, harassment. He never actually killed somebody until now. But yeah, kind of charges like that: assault, harassment, resisting arrest, stuff like that. And then, of course, before they found out with her, he was arrested on an unrelated charge to this case, assault with a weapon. And yeah, so he had a rap sheet, and like I said, had done 2 years in prison and 4 years in county. And so anyway, here is the documents here, and hopefully everybody can see them okay. Let me blow this up a little. I think I'll blow it up a little bit there. And over. So I think there's 6 or 7 bullet points. Some have some details. Like I said, there's not a lot, but there's a few things. So number 1, it says, affiant shall show that on the morning of February 15th, which is the day she went missing, Polk County Sheriff's Office detectives' investigation has revealed that said defendant, Don Steven Mcdougal, along with the child victim, left the home of the child victim located, redacted, at their residence near Lake Livingston Village subdivision in Polk County. Mcdougal and Audrii left in Mcdougal's 2003 Chevy Suburban with the intent to drop the child victim off at the school bus stop near the entrance of the subdivision. It was discovered that the child victim was not at the bus stop when Livingston ISD bus arrived at the location and discovered that the child did not make it to Creekside Elementary that day. And there was also mention that, they didn't report her missing until after, they noticed that she didn't come home from school. Some people are bringing up, shouldn't there be something where they get, like a robocall from the school letting them know that their child did not show up? I know some schools do that, not all of them. And, could this be, a sign that, maybe somehow that should evolve into something? more. That way, a parent would know if their child did not make it to school. Maybe get a robocall, and if they enter in a PIN or something like that, something, because I'm sure, with how many schools and children, a lot of children, especially when they get older, may ditch school. So I know that'd be a lot of calls to go out, but I'm sure they could devise a system or an age group. Number 2, Affidavit shall show that on February 20th, 2024, so that's yesterday, the body of the 11-year-old Audrii Daniela Cunningham was located during a search of the Trinity River. Law enforcement dive teams located the victim's body within the Trinity River near Highway 59. The County Justice of Peace, McGee, ordered the child's victim's body to be transported to Harris County Medical Examiner's Office for an autopsy to determine the cause of death, which, we haven't heard about that yet, and I don't know. I'm assuming that might be a while. The affidavit shall show Don Steven Mcdougal was a friend of the Cunningham family and resided on the property in a cab over camper. McDougal had access to the interior of the child's victim's home. So most of that stuff from those we know. And we move on to bullet point number 4. The affidavit shall show that video footage and cell phone data places McDougal at 3 locations of interest, which we talked about earlier. That's why I was kind of playing some of those. As they mentioned points of interest. That's been mentioned many times. So apparently it was 3 locations. Evidence in connection with the defendant and the victim was located at 2 of the 3 locations and recovered. So obviously the backpack, which was found more towards the mouth of the dam on the Trinity River, and then of course further south about 5-6 miles down the river, of course finding her body. Number 5, affidavit shall show throughout the investigation, investigators were able to determine through cell phone data, video footage, and other forensic evidence, McDougal lied about his whereabouts and activities on the day of February 15, 2024. So it'd be interesting to note, what did he do after, and then, what did he tell him that he was doing when they were questioning him in the beginning. Number 6, affidavit shall further show that upon recovery of the victim's body, law enforcement discovered a large rock tied to the victim's body. The rope used, so rock tied to a rope to the victim's body. The rope tied between the two was used was consistent with the rope that had been observed in McDougal's vehicle on a traffic stop 2 days prior. So that's kind of the big one. So that's huge because they have evidence. I'm assuming so. Maybe this traffic stop. Maybe they have body cam footage of this traffic stop. Would be interesting to know if, like I said, that. The team that got this was Anna Elise, 10 to Life. Big shout out to her. She's got a YouTube channel. And they're the ones that were able to obtain these records. And it'd be interesting to know if there's a way to get the body cam footage, if that exists, with that vehicle traffic stop. unless the officer just happened to write it down in his notes. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if officers write notes during a basic traffic stop, unless it was more to that traffic stop. But it was kind of interesting for them to note that the rope was in the vehicle, because I mean, there's a lot of people that have rope in their cars. I mean, I have rope in my car. You never know when you need a tow, or we go out and when we're searching for people, you never know when you may need rope. So I thought that was just interesting that they had mentioned that. Melina Shrives, sorry. He was trying to weight her down with a rock. That's news to me. Thank you, mob crew, for finding the facts. Yeah, like I said, the shout out goes to Annalise. But I do appreciate it. We do try to stick with facts on this case, although we do like to speculate. And then number 7, Affidavit shall further show that through investigation there is sufficient evidence to show that on the date of February 15th, said defendant Don Steven Mcdougal committed the offense of capital murder. And I think that is it for the document. So it's nothing major. Obviously, since I'm assuming, whereas like a Brian Kober case, Idaho student 4, where, actually, I don't know if that'd be the best example. But they found the body. He's already talked about it. So I'm assuming with the probable cause, they don't really need to reveal a lot of information because they've already arrested him, although it's on an unrelated charge. I'm assuming if he's talked to him and he's given these locations, they don't need to build a big thing with all the details like a normal probable cause affidavit would have. But then again, I know every state is different, so. Just checking chat here, and there's a few other things we'll go over. Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. Will autopsy results play a role in the death sentence will be sought? That's a good question, Bobby B. I think either way it's going to be death penalty. But I hate to think the worst. But clearly there's got to be a motive to this. And I hate to even mention. I think most of you guys kind of understand where I'm going with the motive. What else would there be other than he just wants to snuff this poor child's life out? Maybe there's something else. And I'm assuming they'll find out in the autopsy report. So yeah, I get to what you're saying. If that thing did occur, will that elevate? But I think either way, take an 11-year-old child's life in Texas, because they don't mess around in Texas. I hope for her sake and the family that justice is served swiftly. Isn't capital murder a life sentence? I think it just depends on the state, because some are, for and against. But yeah, I think with capital murder, obviously I'm no lawyer, so I don't want to. It's kind of out of my wheelhouse. I mean, you would think so. There's also, like I said, we're going to talk about a couple other things. So I'm just checking chat here. Yeah, they didn't mention the rock. They just mentioned the rope. But like I said, it would be interesting to know if we could get that. I've never really done a FOIA request, but it'd be interesting to know. Because like I said, for them to Note, a rope was observed during a vehicle traffic stop. Seems really minor. Because, unless the rope had a noose on it or something. You know what I mean? So, anyway, I think that there must have been body cam footage. I don't know, but I would assume. Okay, let me get down to the bottom here. I'm seeing things. I was trying to look and I missed it here. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes they just don't show up for me. Caroline, I'm so sorry. I missed a few. Hello from South Gardner, Maine, USA. Caroline, I hope you're doing well. Thank you for 20 months of your continued support being a member on this show. Thank you so much. April B, member for 23 months. That's crazy. Almost going to get the 2-4. 2 years. That's amazing. Thank you for covering this case, Chris. Thank you so much for the support. Christian from 303 with the $5 super sticker. Thank you so much, Kristen. Laurel, welcome and thank you so much for becoming a member of the Mob Crew. Appreciate the support. And Black Witter, now member for 6 months. Thank you guys so much for continued support. If you are new to the channel, we do cover cases, true crime, mystery to the missing, even though I butchered that in the beginning of the show. When spring and summer come around, we do go out and help some of these cases. We can't do all of them. We could only pick a few at a time because we're just, I'm just one person. I also work with Steve from True Crime Web, and but coming this spring, definitely have some plans to go out and help with some cases. So there was another thing. I thought I had it in this video, but there was a mention. Maybe I played it and I missed it. I'm just going to play this part one more time.
Every single day, she sees
there it
Audrii
is.
walk.
Okay.
Thought, or at least last thing we knew, she was going to be walking to school to hopefully get on the bus. But our Abigail Dye earlier in the week spoke to a neighbor who said every single day she sees Audrii walking to that bus stop. And that day, Thursday morning, she did not see Audrii. And that's some of the concern. This video here, for example.
So a neighbor who had seen her walk to the bus stop every day, and the one day that she didn't. And another thing that I had seen is apparently Steven was seen later on in the evening sometime after she was reported missing, knocking on neighbors' doors. So this guy here, Don Steven, the POS, he was out there knocking, going around the neighborhood, knocking on doors, asking if they had seen poor little Audrii Cunningham, even though he had already knew. But clearly he was trying to, play dumb, and I just don't understand how this guy could think that, contacting the mother who hadn't seen her child for who knows how long, never had custody of the child, so we don't know what relationship she had with her daughter, if any, really. But to come out of the blue and contact her and set up this meeting definitely shows premeditation. So I think with premeditation, capital murder, I think him knowing, maybe he knows, being in the system, he knows what kind of charge this may bring. So maybe, I'm surprised he didn't try to make some kind of plea deal, or maybe he was trying to make a plea deal and they said, well, we'll entertain it. Tell us what you know. And then, there's no plea deal. And they did try to get as much as they could out of him, but, they're going to, put him down. Melanie, is that Melanie? I think I said Melina. I'm sorry, Melanie. Shrives, Mom, I am new to your channel on YouTube. I would love to become a member, but I'm not sure how to do it. Laugh out loud. I'm sorry. If you were on iPhone, you can't do it just straight through YouTube on the app. You'd have to go into like Safari, a browser, and then go to YouTube and then find my channel. And then there, next to subscribe, there'll be a join button. And if you need any more help, you can always email me. Have they showed or talked to the grandmother? I have not seen the father, the grandmother. Like I said, I'd seen one interview by a guy. I don't know what his connection was to the family. You know, he had some connection, but I don't know if it was just kind of a, you know, like an uncle or something. And yeah, that's another thing. Maybe the dad works offshore. I don't know. Does anybody in chat know what the father did for work? I never really looked. I know he has like a YouTube page, a Facebook page, but I never really looked it up. I've seen some screenshots. I'd seen where he'd mentioned that she'd been missing, and I've seen a lot of flack that he got, especially as the days progressed, and knowing that this guy was living with them. But yeah, as far as information on the dad, it's pretty sparse. He had been communicating with the mom for 6 months. Yeah, I'd seen something about that. Like they knew each other, but the whole him reaching out, you know, he just from what her statement was, you know, there's this video chat that all of a sudden, you know, he sends her. Trying to find that one. So yeah, you can see up here, and Tom mentioned this, and Tom, if you're in here, now I know what you were talking about. I know you had mentioned this the first time we did these, but yeah, and I do, like I said, there's an interview with the mom. I have not seen it or actually heard it. I've seen it talked about in other channels. I cannot find it. But according to her, from what I understand is, you know, yeah, they had been kind of talking on and off or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, he just all of a sudden video chats her, and she's kind of like, what the hell? And then it's, you know, clearly she expresses that because after, you know, it lasts only 42 seconds, and she says, what's up? I'm super effing livid, you know, right now, honestly, because I don't understand. And, you know, he's like, well, why are you livid? You know, your baby's been asking me about you. And anyway, you know, we've kind of gone over this, but, yeah, so clearly, you know, he's pulling on her strings, you know, with her daughter, using her, and clearly this was some premeditated plan. Yeah, okay, so a lot of people have mentioned that. Yeah, some kind of offshore. People mention Alaska, so, and it's interesting because you do see him. I think I've seen a couple of photos that I believe is him. So yeah, maybe that is. I cannot confirm it until I see something myself, but I have heard that, so that could be it. And then there's one other thing that I had seen is that the grandmother, which is Tabitha, there's mention that this was her boyfriend, this Don guy. Now, I cannot confirm that because I can't source it exactly. But I did also see that supposedly there was another thing that I saw. Actually, I'll pull it up right now. That was kind of interesting. Was it this one? Okay, yeah. She and Steven been communicating between 4 to 6 months. He would send pictures of her daughter. She didn't trust him from the beginning. I guess Joshua... Now, this, I don't know. Here it says Joshua, the father, lost custody, and Tabitha, the grandmother, had custody. I don't know if this is true or not. There's also mentioned that people had told people to look into the father and problems with CPS. That I don't know. I would say clearly speculation. This is what I want to mention. I did hear about this. So apparently after they arrested him, now we still have to say this is rumor because, and you can't see this. I'm sorry. Let me move this over. And I have to shout out Titanium Built. There's a YouTube channel who made these. Darn it. Who made these like little bullet points. So I usually try to write my own, so shout out to her. I just took a couple of screenshots so I could relay it. Yeah, she said that after he was arrested, that he was trying to play the crazy card, and he was throwing his feces around in the jail, and he had to be pepper sprayed, just acting crazy. I don't know if that's true. It wouldn't surprise me, that, a lot of insanity, pleas and stuff like that. I don't know if he was going to try to do that. Who knows? And there was one more. It was about Tabitha. Okay, and here's one more. And I don't know. Like I said, just take this with a grain of salt. I guess Tabitha's husband is a captain of a ship, and when he's gone, it's a free-for-all. But when he's home, everything is tightened up and everyone's on good behavior. She doesn't believe he knew anything. So it's quite possible maybe he was gone. So he is captain of a ship. So I did forget to read about it. I screenshot that. I guess I didn't read that part. So yeah, it does seem like his job involved something with that, driving a boat, or working offshores. Melanie, thank you so much for becoming a member. It looks like you figured it out. That's awesome. Thank you again so much for the support. We try it on the weekends. I know we didn't get to it this last Sunday. We do a members live show. And we'll definitely talk about, I think, what we're going to do for this Sunday when we get closer to the weekend. I saw somebody I wanted to quote. I can't find it. When a POI was a POS, call it like it is. Yeah, I have to be careful with my words because YouTube, we have to dance around things. And yeah, he's a big, yeah. Thanks, Heather. I do remember Chris was looking for Dylan Rounds. Yes. If there's something that develops, I would like to go out there this year, to be honest. But I don't want to get off track and off topic of what we're talking about. But I would definitely like to go out at least one more time when it comes to Dylan Rounds, because I think they know, they have a good idea where he's at. It's just the circumstances. But yeah. He worked on large boats okay, so he worked on large boats overseas a lot. Interesting. Yeah, and that statement says, like, when he was home, everybody was on best behavior, and when he was gone, it seems like Grandma, who was kind of the main caretaker when he's not there. So yeah, maybe that's why we haven't seen the dad. Maybe the dad feels horrible. Maybe he didn't really know a lot what was going on. Obviously, there's still a lot that we don't know as far as the living arrangement and stuff like that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we did. My question is how do we know the mom's phone number? You have seen the Karen, if you could email me or mention it in the show, I don't know if you got a link you could send me. I'd be interesting to see that, because I feel like there's some few pieces to the puzzle that she could obviously expand on as far as what happened just before. Heather, whatever, good to see you. There was a candlelight vigil tonight in the town. Oh, that's sweet. Oh yeah, you just call me Chris. The Mob Crew is us. The Mob Crew. So my channel was originally The Monsters Under Our Bed, and it was kind of a big YouTube name, and I thought it was just easier if we condensed it down to The Mob Crew, and that was derived by my viewers. They're like, hey, we're The Mob Crew, because it's just kind of condensing down MOB, and it's not like we're the mob, like the mob, taking out mob or mafia. It's more like the mob, that go after monsters. That's kind of what it's derived off of. And I thought that was cool because that all came from my viewers. So anyway, I'll recap everything before we go. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll just kind of recap the last little bit. I just want to mention this little guy one more time, because this, even though one case is kind of semi got a conclusion, at least, sadly, Audrii was found. At least, the family has answers, and they don't have to think about, is she alive out in the elements, freezing to death, or I don't know how it is in Texas right now, but stuff like that. They at least have the answers, not the answers they wanted, but the missing continues, and we've got this 3-year-old boy missing out of Two Rivers, Wisconsin area, Elijah View. So I just wanted to quickly mention him one more time, and so yeah, just to recap. See if I missed anything else. We have these text messages, which I think will probably be used at some point to kind of show that he built this narrative and to show premeditation, where he's texting the mother, hey, your baby's missing you, and where is that one I want to show? I'm your daughter's favorite person, and she will not tell, which, now seeing that is just, ugh. But, pulling on her heartstrings, because this poor mother, wanted to do better for her child and not take custody. And then he uses her to kind of set her up, letting her, say that, hey, we'll meet up at the park on February 15th. And then all of a sudden, she goes missing, and he gets arrested the next day through phone and cell records, which we did hear about in those documents, which ultimately led to finding Audrii Cunningham. Which I know there was one other thing I want to mention, which is so eerie to me. So, for those that know me, have been with me for a long time, I work with Steve from True Crime Web. We work together. If you don't know him, he's a former detective, and he told me, and this is something that they just went off of, just kind of a statistic, or I don't know if it's a statistic, but it's just a phrase they used, and he said, when a killer is disposing of a body, usually it's a 10-minute walk. I think it's either 10 minutes or 7 miles by vehicle. I'm pretty sure it's 10 and 7. It might be 15 and 7, but either way, I know 7 miles. And that is so crazy because she was found approximately 7 miles from where she was last seen. I'm sure I phrased that wrong somehow, but I'm pretty sure it was 10 minutes and 7 miles, if I recall. And if we look at where she was last seen and how many miles, it is basically approximately 7 miles as the crow flies. So, pretty wild. Let's see. New Amber Alert for Cali for a 2-year-old. I'll have to look into that, and if I see that, so I've been trying to. So the other thing is I've been trying to go live just about every day now because February is kind of a shorter month. Obviously, it's leap year, so we have 29. But during the winter time, sometimes it just depends on cases. The channel's been kind of slow. The Audrii thing kind of picked up a little bit. But unfortunately, I live alone. I kind of have my expenses, with rent $1,000 and a car payment $700. I've had to pick up some extra live shows. So I do appreciate everyone taking the time to show up, and especially those that can support and donate. And I like I said, I cannot wait till it comes spring so we can get out there and actually start helping with some cases. I'm just one person. I can't help everybody, but I try to do as much as I can. And again, I reiterate that if you have a family member or friend that recently went missing, you can email me, share the details, picture, and I'd be more than happy to feature them in an upcoming live show. And then one more thing, I guess apparently some other breaking news that I just wanted to mention before we go. Apparently, let me pull it up on Twitter because I'm sure it's going to... Oh, wow, it's not even... Oh, Delphi's trending? Hold on, let me see what Delphi... Because we do cover Delphi case. Oh, okay. People are okay. Nothing major. Oh, actually, no. Let me go back there. Is Brian Laundrie. So, as you guys know, I spelled that wrong. Give you two guys. Let me pull this up. So as you guys know that the two families, the Laundries, the Petito Schmidt family, they're suing the Laundries for a bunch of stuff, and so anyway, they've been doing stuff with preparing whatever charges and. Anyway, apparently a plea deal was made. So I guess that's kind of been some breaking news. Is that because we thought they were gonna go to trial because obviously, and I know it seems like a lot of people have been burnt out with Brian Laundrie for a long time. And it's crazy because that's the case that made my channel. My channel, I built that off covering Gabby Tito case. But apparently there's a plea deal, so we're not going to see a trial, which I think was set in May, and because just what a mess with the parents of Brian Laundrie. What did they know after he got back from his trip without Gabby, and of course, who was his, you've got that Steve Bernalino guy that's, supposedly, representing all the families and at different times, and just what a mess it was. And anyway, and even Bertolino's, had to get his own lawyer because he's thrown into it as well. So what a mess. So apparently they're made a plea deal, and I guess that's going on. I think JB Buno from NFL News. I don't know if is he still live? Anybody know? I know I can't find the one where they're talking about it, but these are old ones. And anyway, I think he just went live like an hour and a half ago talking about it. So anyway, kind of wild. Do I have a did somebody say I have a key? I had a Cash App. I don't. I might have to set up another one. Oh, Mom's interview. Okay. Oh, let's check that out if you guys want to. I haven't seen it. Is it from another creator? Now, is this the one where she just cries?
And breaking tonight, we are hearing from the mother of a missing 11-year-old girl.
Okay, There's not words for it. Through tears, Cassie Matthews, the mother of 11-year-old Audrey, pleaded for help finding her missing daughter tonight.
She was allegedly dropped off at her bus stop. And later on, we come to learn that she never even made it on the bus.
Just hours before, investigators were playing things close to the vest, letting on that they know more than they're willing to tell the public right now.
And I can understand the public's concern
that
we're not giving out a lot of information, but the end here is to find Audrey and bring her home.
They haven't said if they've found any sort of evidence in the area they spent searching Friday night near Lake Livingston. And despite the rumors in this small town, they won't say if there is a suspect connected to the girl's disappearance. Audrey's mother says her daughter was living with her father, who has custody, as well as her grandmother and another man. Family members tell us that other man would drive Audrey to the bus stop each morning before school. No one at the family's home would speak with us tonight. Meanwhile, Cassie Matthews says she's devastated.
You feel it's a roller coaster. You're broken. You're mad. You're lost. You're empty. And right now, I am empty. And I'm not gonna be the same unless my baby is returned to me. And neither is her family, anyone in her family, any of us.
Authorities say that they are speaking to persons
so
of
there's
interest
that
tonight.
one. I thought there was another one, like somebody else interviewed her, and there was more details. I could be wrong, but thank you, Karen, for sharing that one. I have seen that one, but I thought there was one other. Like I thought I heard somebody like a YouTuber had called her up or something. Because there was definitely some more information on those notes that I showed you a little bit earlier from Titanium Built, I think it's the channel, which I took some of those screenshots from, where she clearly had some information that was not from this interview. So, but yeah, I haven't seen it. My Cash App, I don't know if that Cash App leak works, to be honest, guys. For some reason, I've had an issue with Cash App. So, if it doesn't work, I don't think you'll be able to send it. But yeah, right now I just have Venmo and PayPal, because I did set up a new one, but I can't remember what. There was something wrong with an email or something, and so they terminated or something. So my apologies. Anyway, I'm not going to ramble on anymore. We just went over all the notes, and that's what I wanted to finish on, was those notes, and I'll just quickly fly through those. But the main one really that had really much information was number 6, which was the rock being tied to the victim's body, as well as the rope used tied to the victim and the rock, I'm assuming. And it's also mentioned that this rope was observed in Mcdougal's vehicle on a traffic stop 2 days prior. So it would be interesting. That really makes me think. Let me know what you guys think in chat. I would assume that had to have been body cam footage of that. I mean, a lot of officers do now. Thank you, Chris and the crew, for all you do. Thank you so much, Mr. Beer. I love the name. yeah, we try to do as much as we can to help out and get back to the missing. Cynthia, love you. Yeah, oh, you guys are amazing. Okay, let me check my phone last time, and all right, they're saying it works. I will check that. If it works, great. Yeah, maybe I did set up another one. I don't know. I've gone through like 3 of them because I don't know why. Cash App or yeah, $700 a month. Yeah, did I mention my $300 card? Because it's, you know, I'm paying for it right now, so I have to have full coverage. So that's another $300. So yeah, I have about a $2,000 kind of expense. That's just between those two, and then, you know, utilities, gas, and food. You know, another $5. But you know, that's just my situation. Everybody's different, and usually I get by. Just sometimes in the winter time, it kind of slows down unless a case is going on. But, you know, I'll be back on my feet. That's the thing about YouTube is, you know, and true crime. There's always cases, you know, it's going to slow down and then it's going to boom up and then, you know, so usually it levels out. But, like I said, that's why I've been picking up a few extra shows. So I should be probably going live tomorrow. So just to let you know, mods, just so I can make probably just for the rest of this month, just because it's kind of a short month. Since it's Thursday, I'll probably go an hour early, just because Steve's going live. But I will notify you guys an hour or 2 before I go. So, I don't know. Maybe if there's anything interesting in the Brian Laundrie case, maybe we'll check it out. I mean, it seems a lot of people are burnt out on that case. And I as well. Okay, sorry. I just see one more. Ashley B. I don't know why I can't see it. Ashley B., thank you so much for the $20 super sticker. You were so sweet and awesome. And again, thank you guys. Oh, there it goes. Ashley. Oh, I thought it was the other one. Ashley B. gifted 5 Mob Crew memberships. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Ashley. If you did get gifted by Ashley B., please thank her if you can. And again, we'll be back on tomorrow. Not sure what we'll cover, but be about around the same time as we started today. And if you missed anything, please go back and look at it. And I'll usually put chapters. I'm starting to put chapters in my videos, so that way you can just kind of skip to the information you may want. But, you know, we always like to recap cases and stuff like that. So with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening, day, afternoon, depending on where you're at. And please be safe. Look out for your children. Hug them, kiss them, and tell them you love them. And we will be back tomorrow. And then real quick, a huge shout out to my wonderful mods, Karen. I don't know if Jocelyn was in here. I know sometimes she works late. Jennifer, Copper Horse, D, and I know I'm going to miss a name, and Michaela. Thank you guys so much. Our mods are the best. So, all right, guys, we'll do an outro, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, yeah, Verdict Watch. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Definitely. Yeah, we may do that. That's a good suggestion. Thank you, Deborah. All right, guys, thank you so much.